Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and boy did the market crash. Now, the first really interesting thing to me, I woke up this morning and saw that the market had crashed, and the really interesting thing to me was that I remembered seeing this tweet from Coinbase yesterday evening. It says vibes incoming, and then all of a sudden, then in the middle of the night, the market crashes. And if you look, the market's now at 2.2 trillion, and Bitcoin dropped like $9,000 or $10,000 inside of a very short period of time. You've got a 79-cent XRP. You got anyway. The market crashed. Now I've been through, I don't even know how many, 10 to 15 of these things, but. To put this in perspective, I can remember back, I can't remember if it was 2018 or 19, this entire market got down to like 100 billion. And while we were at 100 billion, that was back when you had which I'll show you at the end of this video, that was back when you had major players that I knew at the time were just playing games. You had Jamie Dimon saying that, Bitcoin, he would fire his traders if he caught them owning it. You had Warren Buffett calling it rat poison. You had all these articles coming out from where Goldman Sachs is saying that they think everything's going to go to zero. You had all this stuff. Now we don't have that. Now you just had a down day. But these kind of things, this is all just distraction to me. If you understand why we're all here and what all this stuff really is, and you understand which ones really matter, this is all just kind of, it's a buying day for me, and I'm not telling you what to do. I bought some XLM this morning. I don't have my money positioned to scoop up as much as I want to, but what I'm doing, and this is just me, I'm looking at scooping up XRP, and I didn't even look at Algorand. Let me see what Algorand's doing. But I'm scooping up XLM, XRP, and Algorand as soon as I can get some things in position. Algorand's down to 160. Those are the three and that I'm looking at. Now, it says Bitcoin on CoinDesk. Bitcoin drops, they have to put a positive spin on anything Bitcoin related. Bitcoin drops 9K in an hour on spot market selling. El Salvador again buys the dip. So, it's always a buying opportunity for the Bitcoin Maxi publications. Here's what's going through my mind when I'm watching this, because I've seen, I typed this out here. Some saying we could be entering a Bitcoin bear market. I've heard some of that kind of talk. Well, here's how this market is different from what happened in 2017 and 2018. Pretty much all the digital assets were able to appreciate during the bull market back then. This one is very, very different, and here's why. I say, who cares if, let's say Bitcoin is entering a bear market. I think we're in a totally different thing. Last bull market was intentionally popped. I've shown you the article where Chris Giancarlo said that he was instructed in the Trump administration, and he met with Gary Cohn, and they sat down and decided to put out the Bitcoin futures, and he called it adding some discipline to the market or something like that. But it was really popping the bubble. Okay, and then when Bitcoin bubble popped, everything popped. This time's major different, and here's why. Last time XRP participated, in fact, it did better than all digital assets, as it would do this time if it was not held back by an SEC lawsuit. But if you look at this and take a step back, okay, let's say, the Bitcoin bull market's over. Well, whoop-de-doo, who cares? I don't care. And here's why. Bitcoin was always a distraction. There are only two majors, and they follow each other, always have, XRP and XLM. Yet to hit their all-time high at 14, we're going on 1,426 days. They hit their all-time high on the exact same day, the 4th of January 2018, okay? And right after that, remember coin market cap, all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, they stopped factoring the Korean prices in the price, and it scared everyone. And that's what really triggered the crash in XRP, which has always been suspect. But this time is different because XRP and hence XLM, there's a shoe to drop that none of the digital assets out there have. The SEC suit will be resolved one way or another, folks. And this is the one, and I include XLM in that because they've always tracked each other, folks. This is the one. Let's say all digital assets went into a bear market. Well, there's one that has this one piece of news that could drop at any moment to cause it to go absolutely berserk. So I don't give one rat's behind what Bitcoin's doing. I don't even own Bitcoin anymore. I used to own some Bitcoin. Plus, you got this, Baron Rothschild, an 18th century British nobleman and member of the Rothschild banking family, is credited with saying, buy when there's blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own. I will be taking his advice. I took his advice on XLM, a little bit of XLM this morning, but I'm going to do it across all three of these as soon as I position my money to do so. Now, I like Camo Ammo's theory here. My theory, the wealthy promote and buy Bitcoin and Ethereum with very vague clarity, but not official. Get XRP in court, give 100% clarity, ban Bitcoin and Ethereum after wealthy sell Bitcoin and Ethereum into XRP. Well, they do that before they do that. They sell theirs before there's an announcement of the suit, because of course they'll be told before the suit's announced, because that's how it works. XRP instantly 1.5 trillion market cap, we all retire. I hope that this is how the story ends. Now, this Jake Chervinsky works at the Blockchain Association. He's a lawyer. He does not like Ripple or XRP from what I can tell, but he did tweet this out. This comes from remarks Commissioner Pierce gave called Secret Garden, SEC Secret Garden, describing how the SEC avoids accountability by making decisions behind closed doors without explaining themselves to the taxpayers whom they're meant to serve. Now, I said I totally agree with what he's saying. The timeline we have put together showing the people and firms who tried to secretly behind closed doors work with the SEC, Jay Clayton, Bill Hinman, to give Ethereum a free pass is disgusting. Now, he will never talk about that free pass because he's a proof of work Bitcoin Ethereum maxi. His organization, to my knowledge, still has not reached out to John Deaton to help, even though they call themselves a trade association for the industry overall. That it does not say on their website that we are a Bitcoin Ethereum trade association. It talks about the industry overall. Same for the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Same for Coin Center. But to my knowledge, none of them have reached out to help John Deaton, who is fighting the SEC on behalf of XRP holders. Moving along, Jeremy Hogan did a video interview with a Korean YouTuber. Let me give you, I don't even know what that says, but you can subscribe here to whatever this guy's name is. I clipped out a good clip of Jeremy Hogan from this where he's talking about how he thinks the Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson versus SEC lawsuits will end. Listen.
You have a trial date that's going to be set in the summer of 2022. I don't think that the Ripple case gets to trial. I think the Larson and the Garlinghouse cases might get to trial because there's issue of fact that a jury is going to rule on. I think the Ripple case is decided at summary judgment, which is not a full trial like you would see on TV with witnesses and all that kind of stuff. You know, motions for summary judgment or a summary judgment does end the case, but it's a paper ending. So the parties submit briefs and they submit evidence all on paper. And the testimony comes in the form of affidavits and deposition transcripts. And then the parties argue their sides and the judge makes the ruling. That's the difference. And I think this issue as to whether XRP is a security or not, and even the fair notice defense issues, I think those are issues that the judge should rule on and will rule on. The Garlinghouse and Larson cases have issues of scienter and whether they knew they were doing something wrong. That is an issue of fact. That is something that a jury is supposed to rule on. Did they know they were doing something wrong? Those type of things. But I think the Ripple case ends sooner in March, April, or May, because I think the judge is going to rule on it at summary judgment in that time frame.
All right, interesting things. Now, James Phelan had put this out. Senator Toomey had basically gotten on Gary Gensler. Remember a while back, Senator Toomey sent Gary Gensler a letter asking him for clarity. Well, Gary Gensler responded with the typical Gary Gensler BS, non-answers, nothing. And so the senator said, lack of guidance for cryptocurrencies underscores the need for Congress to act. U.S. Senate Banking Committee ranking member Senator Toomey today expressed disappointment in Securities and Enforcement Commission Gary Gensler's responses to the senator's request for public guidance surrounding emerging technologies like cryptocurrencies. For investors to benefit from fair and competitive marketplace, federal agencies should answer questions about whether, and if so, how, new and emerging technologies fit under existing regulations, said Senator Toomey. Chairman Gensler's failure to provide clear rules of the road for cryptocurrencies underscores the need for Congress to act. Now, this is out of place. I'm gonna skip over that. Yesterday, I had made this point because Tom Emmer was complaining to Gary Gensler about how he's not approving Bitcoin spot ETFs. Well, I said, hey, Tom Emmer, have you considered the possibility that Gary Gensler answers to people who want America to decline? But Lord, now, by the way, folks, I'm not making a political statement here. I think that our country has been hijacked by people, and it includes people on both sides of the aisle in our government. I believe that our country has been hijacked by people who do not want this country to do well. And when I say this, I'm not talking about America being able to go and invade countries whenever they want to. I personally believe America should leave people alone and stay here. And, you can build up your military for defense purposes, but we shouldn't be all over the world trying to defend everything. But anyway, this is not a political statement that I'm getting at here. I think it's both sides of the aisle. Have you seen any congressman bring up what I'm about to show you and call Gary Gensler out? It's always pleasantries and nothing major. They're all just, oh yeah, I see what you're saying, but they're not going to go there. None of them go there. And I believe in order to put the right kind of pressure, you have to go there. That's the conclusion that I've gotten to. So here we are going there. All right. You got a chairman. We got a chairman of the SEC who will not respond to John Deaton. He won't respond to 60,000 plus XRP holders. He won't. He doesn't. All he talks about is how he wants to protect investors. But he's on the phone with this woman who they put up for the OCC, who is a communist sympathizer, wrote her dissertation on how she agrees with communism, basically, but wouldn't provide it to Congress. And he's on the phone with George Soros. And so let's go there. This is the same guy who wrote this, The Bubble of American Supremacy, Correcting the Misuse of American Power. And again, I don't think the U.S. should be going all over the place, invading countries and doing that kind of stuff, especially not for, we ought to keep to ourselves, in my opinion. But again, this isn't political. I don't care whose side George Soros is on. He's an obvious bad guy. So you have an SEC chairman who ignores 60,000 XRP holders, installs American crypto innovation, but looks at his public calendar. Who writes a book like this? Well, this is who writes a book like this. Listen to this.
This would be the time because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order. They are kind of reluctant members of the IMF. They play along, but they don't make much of a contribution because it's not their institution. Their share is not commensurate. Their voting rights are not commensurate to their weight. So I think you need a new world order that China has to be part of the process of creating it, and they have to buy in. They have to own it the same way as, let's say, the United States.
The only thing he's not saying is communist China. He doesn't want to say that part.
owns the Washington Consensus, the current order. China will emerge as the motor replacing the US consumer. And of course it's a smaller motor because the Chinese economy is much smaller. So the world economy will have less of a motor. So it will move forward slower than it has in the last 25 years. But China will be the engine driving it forward, and the US will be actually a drag that's being pulled along through a gradual decline in the value of the dollar.
What he means is the decline in America. This guy's a creep show. Now, let me show you, how does this apply to crypto? But well, first of all, I've shown you the calendars. Gary Gensler, and after listening to that, ask yourself this. If I put myself in Gary Gensler's shoes as SEC chairman of the United States, your job is to protect American investors. I'm one of them. These guys don't talk to me, but they talk. The guy that just described how he wants America to decline and China to take over. What on God's green earth could the SEC chairman, who's supposed to protect U.S. investors, what in the world could he have in common with that guy? What in the world could he have? Not only would you not get on the phone with that guy, you would hang up on him or tell your secretary to hang up on him, is what you would do. This guy wouldn't get anywhere near the SEC chairman of the United States. And when you watch this, you'll really think he doesn't need to be anywhere near the SEC chairman of the United States. But this is the state of our country, and it makes me sick to my stomach for my children's future when I see this crap. But I'm going to show it to you because these people, and look, and I'll say it again, this is not a political statement. I hold the people in Congress who are not holding this guy accountable for what's going on and what's being done to this country. You are just Tom Emmer. I'll say their names. Tom Emmer, Senator Toomey. If you guys are really good guys, then go after these people. Call them out for this because they are trying to destroy this country. If when you put it all together, it's very simple. It's clear as a bell. They're trying to hold back U.S. innovation while China progresses, and all of these creepy things are going on, and nobody up there is calling them out. They're just saying, "Oh, we need to pass. This is why we need to pass a bill." This is bigger than passing a bill. You guys need to. It's time to man up or lose this country.
On September 12th. Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'll fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
Right.
Okay. And so right after you listen to that, this is Gary Gensler's calendar where he's meeting with Jamie Dimon. And you might say, oh, well, of course he's got to meet with JP Morgan CEO. Yeah, I get it. If it was just JP Morgan CEO, okay. Now listen to the next clip. Well, if I can get it to...
Okay, George Soros.
George Soros, in January 24th, price was already down, calls Bitcoin a bubble, says Bitcoin is the worst investment in the world. Don't buy Bitcoin. Basically throws gasoline on the fire at this point. And then what do we find out? So he says bubble here.
It drops 44%.
Right. And then here in April, 2 months later, guess what we find out?
Yeah.
His $26 billion family office has approval to buy cryptocurrency.
Right. And we only knew about it publicly here. And this is the kind of thing that George Soros is famous for this, talking the sterling down.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He stole the pensions of all the little people.
Yeah, made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And this is Gary Gensler's calendar on August 20th, 2021, right in the middle of the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, where they're holding back crypto innovation in the United States. He's on the phone with George Soros. And I'll say again, what on God's green earth could the SEC chairman of the United States of America, who's there to protect American investors, be saying to a guy who we know, I mean, he's proud of it. We know that this guy does things like what Glenn Beck just said that he did with the sterling, where he's manipulating markets and working behind the scenes he's proud of it. The guy's admitted to it. What in the world? The guy has admitted he wants this new world order where he wants China to be a bigger player than the United States. What in the world is going on in this country? And why are there not people hauling his butt, Gensler's butt up in Congress and asking him these kind of questions? What did you talk about with George Soros on the phone? What do you possibly have in common with George Soros? And of course, after showing you all of this, I added Gary Gensler himself on at the end, because I think this is all very, very clear what's going on here.
I think it's kind of just like reasonably clear. I would say very clear.
I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I'm pissed off and just disgusted by all this. The more I look at all this stuff, the more I look at the state of what these people are doing to this country where I grew up. I mean, I literally grew up. My dad was in textile manufacturing. And guess what? We don't have any manufacturing in this country anymore. And why? Because these same politicians back in the 90s, as I was growing up, they sold it out to China. Period. Thanks for listening.